feel like I make the biggest difference here.
Yes.
And this is my message to you Filipino Americans, or, even if you're a foreigner thinking about moving here, you're frustrated with feeling like you don't matter. I know more about US real estate than I do about Philippines real estate. But yet, most of my content is about the Philippines real estate.
Even if you're not Pinoy, we accept them all.
Right.
You have just as good a chance as being Filipino as you are not Filipino. There's no other country in Southeast Asia that openly accepts foreigners.
Right.
We love foreigners.
Hi, I'm Christy. I'm Filipino American. My mom is actually full Filipina. My dad is half. But I was born and raised in the States. And like you mentioned, I am a beauty queen. I competed in Binibining Pilipinas 2015. Well, actually, my first one was Mutya ng Pilipinas 2010. And then Binibining Pilipinas 2015. And I just recently competed for Miss Universe Philippines this year. And I also host a travel show called Beached with one of his old co-hosts as well, Mark Nelson, our good friend of ours. And I'm also a DJ. So, yeah.
Nice.
Wonderful resume, no?
Right.
That's amazing.
Stat.
I love it. Stat. Busy girl. Hello, everybody. My name is Revilson Fernandez. I'm from San Jose, California. Originally, that's pretty much my roots, and then moved here to the Philippines, a proud citizen, in October of 99. Manila was my first place. I didn't think I would live here because I thought it was a great springboard to the rest of Asia. I had my sights set on Hong Kong, Singapore, or something like that, but 23, 24 years later, I'm still in this wonderful city, still learning it, still exploring, still finding myself. And yes, I dabbled in the media industry because that's what I studied in the States. I went to film school. But of course, my passion was to work behind the camera. And I found myself in front of it. Again, still learning and still exploring this great new industry of hosting. But I love it. And I get to meet cool people like you and get to be on cool shows like this.
Nice. So we all have something in common here. We all grew up in the States. I'm not Filipino. I'm Chinese American. But I came here when I was about 32 or 33. And I kind of, and I came here for business. And I started, I came here for work, actually. And then I ended up starting my first business here and kind of had my lucky break. Yeah, so and I wanted to, and so I made my success here in the Philippines. So I thought it was really important for us to kind of, find some other Filipino Americans that were successful here as well, who came here to make it big. And obviously, you guys are in the entertainment business, and you probably had your lucky break here too, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so I kind of wanted to share that journey and kind of, learn from you guys and what you guys went through, and I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure it out here in the Philippines. I'm still trying to be successful.
Totally.
And as you said, it took you 20 years and, and you're probably still working on it.
Yeah.
And to many people in the Philippines, they would probably consider you or us pretty successful, right? So obviously we have more room to grow.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Always.
And Rosen, I came here in 2010. And Christy, you came here in 2014, right?
That's right, yeah. Late 2014.
But the OG guy here is him, right?
Wow.
You were here.
I'll take it. I
Yeah.
am an OG. Yes. Original doctor.
It shows.
Yeah.
It shows that.
Sorry.
We need more lighting and fill in these wrinkles here. But yeah. OG, man.
Tell us about your journey and what made you kind of decide to come out here.
All right. So first and foremost, we want to put it out there. This is definitely not an anti-America bashing episode. We love where we're from. We love the first world. It's amazing. We also love where we are now. And we're still here because we love this place. So that's our caveat. With that being said, I knew I wanted to be here in Asia. Off the bat, ever since I was growing up, I fell in love with Bruce Lee movies and anything related to Asian culture. I really went out of my way to study Asian American studies in high school. And then, I really enjoyed our family trips back to the Philippines every couple of years during Christmas time. A lot more so than my brothers. They were really into America. But, the Philippines for me was just paradise, and it was so much fun, and you get to see live chickens and cows and pigs, and the
Right.
smells of this country are just they awaken all your senses, and the chaos was beautiful to me, it meant life and liveliness and ambition, and yeah. So fast forward to when I was in college, I decided to take film school and film studies, and with minoring in Asian studies, and so yeah, Philippines was definitely on the list, but I wanted to go to Hong Kong and really dabble in the industry there. But Manila would be my jump start into Asia, I thought, because it was like Asia light.
Right.
It's
Right.
like weed
Right.
when it comes to
The
Right.
gateway
the
country.
gateway country. Thank you
Right.
very much. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So here I am, and just having a wonderful time. We'll discuss more about but that's how I got started here.
Nice. How about
Yeah.
you, Christy?
Okay, for me, I was born in Jersey City. And as you know, or if you don't know, Jersey City and the tri-state in general has such a massive Filipino community.
Okay.
It's really tight knit. So even in my grammar school growing up, like half my classmates or more than half the class is Filipino. So I already had like a pretty strong sense of Filipino culture and the pride that I grew up with. But I also grew up in a very diverse city. I mean, Jersey City is extremely diverse. And as soon as I hit 18, I moved to New York City. I moved out to Brooklyn, and I was loving my life there. I went to college in Manhattan, and then I just felt like I hit a little bit of a plateau, and I felt a little bit of a lack of direction. And it was my mom's 50th birthday, and I'm like, Mom, what do you want for your birthday? She goes, just please join Binibining Pilipinas. I was like, seriously, that's what you want. She's like, please, 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 you just make me so happy, because she's always been pushing me to join pageants since I was little. Like I played sports my entire life, and she hated when I would come home with like, sprained ankle and bruised knees. She's like, how are you
Oh
going to
my
become a
God.
beauty queen with those legs? And I'm just like, Ma, I like to play sports. That's just what I like to do. But anyway, I guess I was blessed with a gift of height and a gift of gab. And I think she just saw the potential in me, which Mom is always right. Thank you, Mom. I love you. For me to take the opportunity. And I also went to Burning Man that summer, and the owner of my camp told me that I was destined for something greater. And I was like, what does that mean? What does it mean? And then when my mom asked me to do it, I was just like, I guess maybe that's it. So let me go back home. Let me reconnect with my roots. I would go back to the Philippines every summer, but we would go to Bicol, which is where my mom's side of the family is from. We have a beautiful ancestral home in Nabua. I never really experienced the city. So I'm going to go from leaving New York City and all my friends and the liveliness and you know, the energy of New York, the center of the universe,
Yeah.
to Manila. And
Right.
so I did that for my first time, 2010. And I did win a crown, but I was only here for about 3 to 4 months. I didn't really dig it as much then. I think I was just too attached to my friends back in New York, and I had just left the nest, so I was just excited to be on my own back in New York City, on Brooklyn. So then I came back for 2015 for Beanie Beanie. Then I won a crown as well. And then I just ended up staying. I think the opportunities just kept arising, and I just kept growing more and more attached, and I just kept seeing the potential and the opportunity and the hunger that Manila was starting to
Yeah.
show, and I wanted to be a part of it, and it was just an exciting time to be there. And you can even see, look at BGC in the span of
Yeah.
a decade, how much it's changed.
Right.
So
So much.
I mean, you've been here, so you've seen that, that growth, and I feel like, we're a part of that growth, so it's cool to be a part of it. Yeah, and I haven't gone back and I haven't turned back.
Yeah, no, I can definitely relate to what you're
Nailed
saying.
it. Absolutely
right?
nailed it, Christy. Yeah.
And you said that you mentioned like, at one point you felt like you were kind of at a plateau, and I can tell you from my personal experience, I always thought I was a very capable person, right? And, growing up in the US, I came here. I remember not speaking English until I was like 6 years old. I had to struggle through like rough neighborhoods, getting picked on. I remember having to always like, I dealt with a lot of racism as well because I grew up in like, more Hispanic neighborhoods or more Black neighborhoods. And so, got into a lot of fights and really had to kind of grow up trying to prove myself. Right. And so I always felt like I always had to prove myself a little bit more in America. I always had that chip on my shoulder. I always had to fight a little bit harder for my respect. And so, you know, and I did have some success in the States, but I always never felt like I was given as many opportunities as I thought I should have deserved, right? And so, out of frustration, I think I was always looking outwards. Philippines wasn't the first country I moved out of the U.S. from. I lived in like countries like Denmark, Curacao, uh, and then eventually moved here to the Philippines. And then I just felt like here, you're you know, just because you stand out a little bit more here, right? You're given, you know, you get a lot more shots than you normally would, right? Did you guys experience that too?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very easily. Like if you even think about it, like me, for example, when I was 17, I got offered 2 modeling contracts in New York City, but I needed my parents' consent at the time. But anyway, they also wanted me to lose 15 pounds, and I was already like a frail twig. So, and then you come here, and you know the doors of opportunity are just they're like wide open for you, and and if you're hungry enough, like it's just so much easier to grasp. It's not as saturated as, for example, New York City or other places, especially in the U.S. So, yeah.
Yeah, there definitely is a bit of an unfair advantage. I'll be the first to say it, and you'd probably back me up if any Philams come to this country and whatever industry they're trying to be a part of, be it from a physical standpoint, the PBA. How I was introduced to Philams, that term, was actually through the PBA when I was watching it when I first moved here. We had, and those were the first popular Philams, you know, Nick Velasco, Harvey Carey, I mean, the list goes on and on. I should have more names, but yeah, they made the game a lot more exciting because they brought that American style of basketball where it's a lot more physical, grittier. And they brought it to the Philippines, which upped our game overall as well, you know. So yeah, they were the first Philams that I got introduced to, and I felt it was an unfair advantage to them because they would prefer more Philams on the team than a regular Pinoy who's from the Philippines, and that took away a livelihood, you know? So, and you want an entertaining game, or you want fairness throughout the Players Association. But anyway, that's one side of it. We did have an unfair advantage. And I loved it. Sorry, I'm not gonna deny it. Sorry.
Sometimes it does work against you in some ways.
Right.
Like for example,
100%.
when I was competing, I think that was one of the number one forms of scrutiny, or one of the main things that people were judging me the most on, where they were telling me that I wasn't Filipino enough because I was raised in the States. Even if I am a dual passport holder, even if I associate myself as a Filipina, even if I consider myself a Filipina, and even if in my heart I knew I wanted to represent the Philippines over Miss US, like being Miss USA. But yeah, sometimes it works against you in certain industries, but for the most part, we definitely do have I guess an advantage and an edge.
Yeah.
What do you think are those unfair advantages? Like, if you had to pinpoint them? What do you think they are?
Well, I would start off with, I think as a whole, Americans are a lot more outgoing.
Yeah.
And that can work in our favor, especially in our industry. You know, you're not going to hire a shy host, a shy model.
Yeah.
So we have that. Don't get me wrong, lots of fantastic outgoing Pinoys as well, but I find our society is more, hey, what's up? How you doing?
Right.
Let's talk. Let's network.
Yeah, I guess slightly a little bit more forward and direct about things that we want as well. We're not as passive, I guess, which some people can judge us for, but it's just a part of our DNA,
DNA.
as Americans, I guess.
Rhymes with USA.
Yeah.
No.
Hate us or love us, but it's a part of who we are to be a little bit more outspoken.
Yeah.
So yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Confidence.
Yeah.
Education.
Right.
You know, a lot of us are hold higher social college degrees at the most. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Just social skills in general. Just being able or willing to communicate, or not shy to communicate with other people.
Yeah, I think all of the above, like all of it's very much cultural. It's also an attitude. It's a confidence. It's a mindset. And I kind of I mentioned earlier I attribute it because I always had this growing up in the States. I felt like I had to work a little harder. I had something to prove. I had a chip on my shoulder, and I had to and that kind of helped me give me the attitude to always try. And I was never afraid of failure, right? I mean, I became.
By the way.
Okay, sorry.
That's
I keep butchering your name. Can I just call you
Rovilson.
Can I call you
Rovi.
Rovi? Can I just call you Rovi,
Okay,
please?
from the top then. From the
Yes.
my name since the beginning. So I
Yeah,
mean,
the
you
first
might as
intro,
well.
I was like, is that how you say your name?
Sorry for being so American.
First of all, our pronunciations suck.
Yeah, sorry. I'm still trying to be Filipino.
Welcome to Palawan,
Yeah,
everybody.
Boracay.
Boracay.
America.
Poblation. Anyway, oh my God.
Yeah, no, then we can definitely make fun of me. That's fine.
Welcome to the roast. All right, my bad. Go ahead. Rovi's fine. Rovi's fine.
No, so let's just to continue on. Like I always had that. Like I need to prove something. So like coming here, it was just like it was easy because like a lot of people here, they don't want to take the chance. They don't want to take the risk. It's just like and you just easily stand out. Like I've never done content before. I've always wanted to be a content creator, but just like that, picked it up and let's go. Let's just go. And then, I'm out there doing street interviews with people. In the States, I would be kind of reluctant because people would just be cringy, like cringing on you, right?
Yeah.
Here, like I feel like I can do
Brave
whatever I
souls
want
do
with
it.
no judgment. And it's kind of nice here because it's like you don't feel that judgment on you. It's almost like how do you put it? It's almost, you know what I'm talking about, T? You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like in the States, when people see you trying to come up, they're just like, oh, you're a loser. You're this, you're whatever. You're not going to make it. And, here they're just like, wow, cool.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's that environment. I love that. I love that environment here in the Philippines. It's like, you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that way too?
Yeah.
Totally.
Diba, Christy, for everything we said about us Pinoys here being shy and timid, I also love the fact that our society of Pinoys here are very social media savvy. They're ready to sing karaoke and they're ready to just take over any screen and yet we're so shy.
Yeah.
So I just love that dichotomy that it's
that's a great
mind-boggling.
example. I didn't really think about that, but like just the way they pick up a microphone, even if they're a bad singer, which they're not, they're all really good singers.
Yeah,
but,
certain sense. But I feel like when it comes to performing or especially things that are creative, I think I just looked at like top 5 apps in the Philippines today, and like 2 of them are like Snapcut. I mean, what is it? CapCut and Canva. So people are trying to stay creative in the Philippines. Like I think it's just. We're such a social media. We're like #1 in Asia, aren't we, or for the world when it comes to social media engagement? Or
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so-
Engagement. That's
Yes.
for sure.
But like you mentioned, yeah, you can definitely be whatever you want. Like it was a dream of mine to become a DJ. Never did I think that I could make it a part of my full-time career, and I'm doing it. And like for example, I have my friend Andre. We were just talking about it with one of my friends the other day. I had a friend visiting from out of town. He was just like, "So, my friend Andre's a photographer, but he's a bag and clothes designer." He was like, now I'm doing that because you can.
and I see people wear so many hats too.
Right.
Like you have a ton of different hats, and I think you do too, and some of my friends do. And I'll be like, "What do you do?" "Oh, I do this, I do that. I do TV, I do hosting, I run a restaurant." I'm like, "So you do nothing really?"
Everything, anything, and all of it, all at once. Yes, no.
And the funny thing is, like, if I met you for the first time, I would never guess beauty pageant, right?
Most people don't.
Like you kind of you.
What would you guess?
I don't know. She has a little bit of a tomboy attitude, you know.
That's why it took a lot of convincing on my mom's end. I was like, "Mom, are you sure?" And all my friends, all my roommates in New York, they're like, "Are you freaking joking? Like you in a gown? Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it. I know."
I love it.
Do you think that gives you an advantage in the beauty pageant space? Because I'm sure you have a little bit tougher attitude and mentality for it, right?
Yeah, super. I think it was an advantage for me. I mean, most people look at me like or have coined me like not your typical beauty queen, and I kind of embrace that because I don't want to be considered your typical beauty
I
queen.
bet you've never cried for losing.
Failure hurts and losing does hurt. I can't say I didn't. Like the last one, I definitely shed a couple of
Okay.
tears, but that was a big one because I came back after a decade, so it was kind of like it was a big brave move for me to put my life on hold to compete again. But I did it for the fans, and I did it for my mom, and I did it for the Philippines. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. But yeah, I've cried, but it takes a lot for me to cry.
I watched one of your interviews, and they were saying you got into you were talking about how they lifted the age
Yeah.
limits,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you were able to compete.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and I was talking to Rovi over dinner, and realized the man is 50 years old. He's in his 50s,
51, actually.
right?
Looking great.
Yeah.
Looking great,
Thank you.
right?
Asian no raisin, by the way.
right?
Asian no raisin.
It still looks like Vin Diesel at 50. I'm 46, and I kind of,
You look amazing.
thank you. I felt like I
Your
was a
skin is fantastic, by the way. I
don't
just
see
want
a
to say
single pore.
yeah,
no, right?
Asians. And I guess this is where it pays off because when I was in high school, I must have looked like I was like 10 years old.
Well, they're laughing now.
No,
aren't they?
no girls were looking at me when I was in high school.
Now you look 11.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's why the girls like me a little bit more. Right? So I felt like I was a little bit of a late bloomer.
Yes.
You guys feel the same way?
Oh,
Me, no.
No.
No, I didn't. I was always like a little bit. I always played sports, so I was part of the varsity team,
Okay.
and I never felt like a late bloomer, but I definitely felt coming here, it was a brand new experience, and it did take a little bit to get into, I guess what do you call it, the motion of things here, or to like you said, mentioned, it didn't happen overnight. But,
How old
yeah.
are you, by the way? Am I not
Don't
allowed
ask
to
a
ask?
woman that. Come on now. You can Google it.
Anybody know? Can someone Google this, please? How old
Just
Christy
Google it.
McGarry is?
Wikipedia might be wrong. Don't trust it.
So when you got into the beauty pageant space, did you get in at the right age, or did you get in?
I came in. I technically came in a little bit later. Like it was almost the age restriction cut off by the time I joined, which is why my mom was a little bit pressured for me to do it. Because if I had waited another year or two, I wouldn't be able to.
That's weird. That's weird how they have a.
Yeah.
What's the age restriction? by
It
the
was
way?
27.
Oh, really?
Or 26, 27, yeah. And I
So what
joined
does
at
it mean? Like after 27, your shelf life is done as a woman?
That's why it's fucked. Excuse my French. But it's fucked up that women had to perceive themselves as like having an expiration date, or like I'm not good enough if I surpass this. Or are you saying that we do?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I'm saying that's fascinating and interesting. I did not know that, and that
Back
is unfair.
then. So then when
Yeah.
they did restrict, when they did lift the age restriction, it was kind of like, well, finally the organization's, going the right direction, and we're able to inspire women, not just women below 27.
Yeah.
Is that a rule worldwide or just in the Philippines?
No, it was a worldwide rule for the org, for like Miss Universe. Like if you were underneath, or if you were older than 27, you can compete. Also, if you were a mom or if you were married, and now they've lifted up those
As well.
restrictions as well. So
That's good
yeah,
because
it's more inclusive.
like I think you can attest to this. I've dated Filipino women here. Honest to God, I think Filipino women like blossom at 35. I've seen so many beautiful women, even in their 50s.
Yeah.
You know,
These are the cougars.
yeah. I mean, hey,
Don't
they
get
look
rough.
good. They look young, and they're and that's the one thing I love about the Philippines. And let's be honest, like, the women here I'm when I'm 46 and I'm single and I'm dating, what is the
So
appropriate
that's
age?
why you're staying in the Philippines. Now we've
Now
turned
the
the
truth
topic.
comes
Now we
out.
get it.
No,
Now we get it.
well, it doesn't hurt.
It
It definitely doesn't hurt.
you and 90% of the population
Right.
here, sure.
Yeah, so I think from an age perspective, like even at an older age and dating women here, I success because I don't think that's true at all. I actually think it can be very challenging in very different ways, especially ways we're not used to. Can you guys talk a little bit about some of those challenges that you were facing when you guys were trying to make it here? Was there ever a point where you guys were ready to give up and go back to the U.S.?
Am I first?
Yeah, would you like, or you want me to?
Personally, not give up. I think I guess one something that I did not struggle with, but a hurdle was when I first started my modeling career here. I was considered too dark, and so that was something like if I was trying to book a job, they'd say I was too tan, or I've even seen them change my color post edit of my skin. But I'm so glad now that's not the case. But that did take a decade of learning from the industry. But for the industry to actually be like, oh, wait, brown is beautiful. Let's inspire some like little brown Filipino girls to not think that, the class value is according to the shade of your skin. But other than that, I never felt like I wanted to give up. I just felt a little bit more hungry just because I saw the city, like I mentioned earlier, or Manila in general, or the Philippines, like growing, getting put on the map as far as like, its culture and like, startups or the opportunity to make it because we're not as saturated as a lot of other, Southeast Asian countries. So you see a lot of expats instead of having their shift or focus on Thailand, Hong Kong, like why not make Manila the next next Bangkok, next Hong Kong, which we're I think well on our way to becoming a really amazing metropolis in Southeast Asia. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's funny. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just so engrossed in that. But coming here, okay, this is the story I wanted to get at. I'm sure when you went home recently, when you were back home in the States, and whenever you go visit back as well, you kind of feel like, because I had the opportunity to go home for 2.5 years and take care of my parents during the COVID
that's right, yeah.
pandemic. And that was great for me, number one, because I got to hang out with my parents because I've been away for so long. So that was a positive. But then the other positive was I also was able to see and get to be an American again, because I forgot what it was like to live there, get a job, pay taxes, ride on the streets, buy groceries, dine out, work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, have just the weekends, barely have any time for your hobbies, barely have any time for a social life.
True.
And then 2.5 years into it, I was like, I'm ready. I can't wait to go back to the Philippines.
Get me that. I'm about to dodge.
Yes, I'm ready. As soon as they open the doors, COVID, I'm out of here. So, yeah. And also, I couldn't do anything from a perspective of I do to, as well as you, like to do, involve myself in the community.
Yeah.
Do charity work.
Yeah.
Go back to, working with the NGOs I did. I couldn't do that there in the States. I didn't know who to contact.
True. Yeah.
I didn't have my platform that I was used to having, Yes, I have my social media reach all over globally, but my followers and my friends and my community is in Asia, is in Manila, is in the Philippines. So I felt, just like it just made me say to myself, you made a great decision in going to the Philippines. You got a taste of what it's like outside of it, and you can make your decision. You have a choice, and my choice is to be back here. It has its pros and cons, but again, it was a great choice. I'm sure you say that as well. It was a good choice, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if you just look at it from as simple to say it, but from a financial aspect, the quality of living, and I was living in in Bushwick in Brooklyn, paying $1,000 for a closet, like with roommates in a railroad apartment. I mean, I'm sure it was some of the best times of my life. But then I come here and I pay the same amount for a loft, loft apartment that overlooks the golf course with the sunset and with 3 times more square footage. I just can't. There's certain things that you just can't have if you're living in New York.
Yeah.
And you can have here. So, or even like small things like the convenience of like Grab. You know how often I use Grab? I use Grab at least 10 times a day.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
There are conveniences or quality of things that alter your quality of life that you just can't have in the States. Also, one thing I must really make a point about is having access to like some of the most beautiful islands or beaches in the world in our backyard. It's just a $100 flight. I mean, do you have that in the States, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think so.
No.
So there's certain things that you can't trade and you can't give up. There are certain things that I just won't give up, and I just don't see myself going back for.
Yeah,
This is a segue. Oh, sorry, this is a segue to your show. Go ahead and plug it.
Yeah,
By the way, if you don't mind watching me on Beach on Metro Channel,
Yeah.
tune in.
Yeah. I love that. I love that plug.
But yeah.
But you talked about quality of life and the cost of living. And you know what always reminds me of that? When I go back to the States, and you know what the kick in the butt is like when I go nowadays, I go to a deli store and I buy something, and they turn this tablet around and they're asking for tip, and I'm just like,
Well,
God damn it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
different culture.
You know, it
Tip-
just kind of reminds me that you got to pay for every little thing, and you got to pay a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And here, you know, people will just help you out of the goodness of their heart, you know,
yeah.
and that's just the culture here. I help you, you help me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That's all the expectation is, you know. And sometimes it's just kind of, it's a nice reminder every time I go back, and every time I go back, I just, you know, the more I'm there, everywhere I go, I'm tipping for something. I'm like, dude, I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I grew up tipping. I still tip just because I grew up in New York City and I was a waitress and I know
Oh,
what
yeah.
tipping culture is like. But
It's
but if
different
you-
though.
It's different.
You tip here, but it's
It's
without
not.
the
It's not
expectation.
expected.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Exactly.
totally different. But if you look at it here, like for example, for expats or Philams coming in that don't know, we call and address everyone Ate Kuya. We're all family. Like you know, the waiter, the doorman,
Right.
like it's just a sign of like camaraderie, not camaraderie, but like it's just we're all family here. That's just the
Yeah.
essence here. It's just a more uplifting, joyful kind of energy.
It
as opposed
is.
to-
It is.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
yeah.
Oh, I have to.
Go,
I got to bring this up. I'm going to ask you guys this. Oh, this is such a dilemma to me. And it happened to me earlier today. I'm walking out the door, the glass doors. I automatically, when I'm in America, I am holding it open. I don't know
Yeah.
who's behind me, but I will
Yeah.
look and see if there's somebody maybe 5 feet away, directly behind me, whatever. If it's a woman, I'm staying. If it's a man, I'll, kind of gently like
Let it
float
go.
off, but I'll leave it open so that he catches it.
Yeah.
I'll hook him
Long
up.
swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got long swing. But here in the Philippines, I hate to say this. I'm so sorry to
Also,
my
you're
Pinoys.
complaining now, aren't
No,
you?
no, I'm mad about me. When I open the door and hold it open for them, I get no acknowledgement. Like they just
Yeah.
walk right by me, like I'm like it's
Now you
my
gotta now you
job.
gotta stand there.
to, like
Now
oh
you're
wow.
the doorman.
Yeah, exactly. Like on the doorman, they're like, "Oh wow, Wilson Fernandez doesn't have work. He's a doorman." Oh, wow, you know, motherfucker,
Poor
really?
guy.
Yeah, poor guy.
bro.
I'll give him some money.
Yeah.
So now I don't open I hate to say it, but I don't leave doors. I don't open doors for people unless it's an old lady, of course, or a
Noted.
woman. But I'm sorry because we
Don't
just
walk
get it.
behind Rob if you're in a grocery or an SM. Just don't. He'll shut it in your face.
Yeah. No,
Noted.
that's funny.
Oh, hey, I'm just calling it like I see it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mama.
Or
you
that-
raised
or
me right, Mama.
Next time you do see Rove open a door for you, kindly say thank you. He's severely affected.
I am. I'm just trying to pass it on.
Maybe
Move it
even
past
tip him a
the
little.
That's what he's expecting.
Pay my rent, please, people.
That's funny. That was interesting. Earlier, you said that for you, being dark was
That was a
something
thing.
that was. And I remember moving here, and there was all these like skin whiteners and things
Oh,
like
yeah,
that. And
totally.
Still
that's
are.
considered beauty here is being light skinned. But us in America, being dark skinned is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it
You
still
know.
is. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it still is.
Most places around the world,
Yeah.
to be honest, except a lot of, I guess, Southeast Asian countries. But like, I've even turned down specific campaigns because of the term whitening, and I was like, can we just change the terminology to like brightening or something that doesn't make people feel like they need to be whiter in order to fit or
Right.
to live up to a certain standard of a class system, which is what needs to be changed. But I think it's doing a lot better. I mean, we have Chelsea, my girl, running for Miss Universe this year from the Philippines. She's our first African American and Filipina delegate that we're sending.
Nice.
So I love that, our standards of beauty are changing, and they're also adapting to a little bit more of how Americans view beauty, which is brown is also beautiful. So yeah, it's nice.
Lovely.
By the way, does the Philippines have like the most beauty queen, Miss Universe winner or something
We're
like
up
that?
there with Colombia, I believe. Yeah,
it?
we're up to 4. So go Philippines.
Yeah.
Root for our girl, by the way, Chelsea. She's running right now.
Tell us about her.
She's amazing. She's sweet. She's lovely. She's looking radiant.
Yeah.
So please follow her journey. Vote for her online when you can. And Laban Pilipinas. Let's do this.
Go Chelsea. You go,
Chelsea.
girl.
I remember talking to what's her name, Samantha
San Bernardo, Sampan.
Yeah, it starts with a P or
Pan.
something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she was talking to me and she was telling me why the Philippines produces the most amount of beauty queen. Apparently, there is a whole boot camp for this,
Of course.
and it's free.
I went to boot camp.
It's free. And she was telling me about the regimen. She was like, "Oh my God, this is not what you think. It's way harder than you think.
it's insane.
You practically have to work out in your heels. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you're like wearing your heels, and it's like this very regimented boot camp training course of what it takes to be a beauty queen."
Oh yeah. I think every time because I've done a few amount of pageants. I've got a few amount of pageants under my belt, and every time I go through the training, it's so rigorous. I think it's the most amount of lack of sleep that I've ever endured, and
Wow.
yeah, and like we work out, and like
Wow.
I also have like a very pretty fit lifestyle, and I have a busy schedule, but nothing compares to the rigorous training and scheduling of running for a beauty pageant. It's so insane, and people
would never
underestimate how
guessed.
hard it is.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
are you having to make weight as well, and other
Oh yeah,
other
and you
other
still need to look
factors?
fresh, but your lack of sleep and
Oh, wow.
you're malnourished because you don't even have
Yeah.
time to eat sometimes. But you want to make sure that you look thin, but you want to make sure you look fit, and your brain still needs to function. But it's hard to do that when you again with lack of sleep, and it's just the scheduling is just nonstop.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're not shooting or have an event or an engagement for the actual pageant, you're training. Q&A training, like my Q&A trainers are from New York City, so they hi Mama Elmo. They're so our hours are like I had to stay up super late night to make sure I can Zoom with them to train for my Q&A. And then you have passerella training, and then you have then you have to meet with your designers for your. It's so much. It's so much.
It's just intense, huh?
It's so
That's
intense.
crazy.
It's just another level. So I have also in my beauty pageant experience of hosting and
yeah.
judging. In fact, I just judged one last week. Fit and Form.
What a lucky guy.
It's honestly, it is a
Tough
gig.
life, right?
It is a tough gig. It is a tough gig. It really is, because I take it seriously as far as someone who's representative of the physical fitness and wellness industry. And I know what I'm looking for, especially in the Fit and Form category. But you see which countries are super into pageants. You'll have your superpowers, the Venezuelas, the Colombias, Mexico, of course, the United States, Canada, Australia. They're the power countries who bring the most readied candidates to win.
Right.
And then just like any other thing in sports or economic, whatever industry it is, you'll see the countries that are really taking it more seriously. And from Asia, we definitely are one of the best.
Right.
But
Not
I
the
love
best.
our variety. Oh, sorry. The best.
In Asia, I would consider that. Yeah, I'd claim that.
Right?
I think so. There's Thailand, Indonesia, and maybe India, but as far as I think Philippines is
Yes.
at the top in Asia.
Well, definitely with our reigning queens as well.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough. It's a tough industry. It really is.
Is it really?
It's
Yeah.
it's
Cutthroat.
Is it tough to judge?
It is, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if you're taking it seriously, it is, and you want to be fair. Number one, you want to be fair, and you want to be consistent. So it's tough to be like, there was one one candidate that I saw who I gave a mark that I thought was befitting to her. And then I saw another one, like a few candidates down, that had the similar one. So do I stay consistent? Because now I'm seeing an improvement in anyway. So I'm trying to take it seriously. And
So are the girls extra nice to you?
no, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. Not at all. We don't see them.
They don't
Until
even talk
they
to
Half
walk
the
out.
time you don't get to meet the panel.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
No. We don't want it that way.
Oh, okay.
That'd be biased.
I was thinking, whoa, there must be perks of being a judge, right?
Well, I did wear a shirt that said accepting donations 094753. It was on my chest.
Gcash.
Yes.
Hey, you guys have obviously, kind of set yourself apart. You guys are, what many people here in the Philippines would consider successful Filipino Americans. And what kind of like, from your point of view, like kind of being in the position that you are and having the influence that you guys do, what kind of like, what kind of movement or changes would you guys like to make here? What kind of causes would you want to get behind? I'm sure, I know, it's almost a rhetorical question because, I know I've been here and, for some reason or another, and I see a lot of Filipino. I was just at a startup event yesterday, and there's a lot of Filipino Americans coming back here and trying to make a difference. And in tech startup, you're always trying to solve problems, disrupt the industry. So I know the interest is there, the passion is there. Can you guys talk about some of the things that you guys want to help the Philippines in terms of making a difference?
I got a long list, girl.
I was
How
gonna
about you?
say, I
Okay,
mean,
like you do 3 and I do 19, and then you do 26. No, you do one, I do one.
do you mean make a difference just within the Philippines, or put our mark globally, or both?
I think let's start with the Philippines.
Okay. Well, I think one of the main ones, I know if Mark were here, would stand by it. I think we both tried to push, promoting sustainability, or just making sure that we're a little bit more eco-conscious, because it's something that's really lacking in the Philippines as far as just like basic education of. I mean, we don't even have recycling in BGC. This is like,
Right.
and if you were in New York, you get fined.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
separate or segregate your check.
Oh,
It's simple.
Japan. I live in
Yeah.
Japan and they go ape shit if I
Yeah.
don't separate I tear the thing off the plastic bottles and the
Totally.
That's the mindset we want for this
Yeah.
country. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the main things that I've been able to like really see, and also I know some statistics that's just like, I mean, we are the number one contributor to plastic pollution in Asia. So, and we're such a small country in comparison to some of the other other
China,
ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
Asia.
So
Oh
to
my
know that we're the main contributors, it's like it's kind of, and I'm a diver, so I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
we scuba dive and
I surf so I get
so,
it.
I mean, yeah, you get it. It's our ocean. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a little bit painful.
It's painful to
sachet
walk
country.
around and see how dirty it is, or how people don't pick up their trash, right?
Yeah, because they don't know. It's just a lack of education from the minimum. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough, something hard to fix, but I still have hope in doing it. And so yeah.
Yeah. No, and piggybacking off what you said, in addition to conservation and being more mindful in the environment and basic education, we need to spend more money on education. Because corruption is going to be tough to eradicate if we attack it head on. But if we educate our people at a young age, that's how we can eradicate slowly corruption. You can get citizens who are more concerned with the overall health of our country. It starts with better education. I think that's where we really need to start focusing, in addition to the environment. That's again another top two, top three
Right.
thing we have to do if we want to be a top country, not just in Southeast
Right.
Asia, but in Asia. So
Yeah.
we can become a player. The people are there. The education is there. We're some of the smartest in the tech industry. Filipinos are.
Yeah.
We have
Really?
tons of engineers.
Yes.
We have tons of nurses. I
Yes.
mean, high end, high level types of occupations all come from
Right.
from the
Smart,
Philippines.
hardworking.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of our greatest, if not our greatest, export manpower.
Yeah,
People.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the number one export here.
Also, to add on that, not just education, but just knowing where our strengths are as Filipinos. I think a lot of it lands on creativity, or just our performance, and like our creative industries, or athletes. I think there's a lack of funding and support when it comes to those sectors. Like, for example, you have Korea, who actually invests how much of their their funds toward their entertainment industry, and we have so much talent here, like tons of it, and our athletes as well. I'm sure you know that. I've heard that some of our athletes don't get the proper training and funding as they do in America, for example. Why do you think America produces so many Olympians? Because they invest in them,
Right.
and we have the potential to do that as well if we
Right.
just put a little more love toward those sectors, in my opinion.
Yeah. You and I were talking over dinner the other night, and you asked me a good question. You're like, why do you want to help with financial literacy? And I said,
Oh, that's a
it
big one.
pisses me,
That's
it pisses
huge.
me off, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's just born from this frustration that you have here, and you just want to do something about it because it just pisses you off.
Yeah, you should teach people.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. And that's what we're. I think Rovi and I are going to tackle that soon. Like,
Yeah.
That's
I'm really
huge.
excited about that.
That's really massive, because
yeah,
you get,
yes.
young kids that, I mean, anytime they don't know how to spend, they don't know how to save, they don't know
Yes.
what it means to invest or to it's a lot. And those are core they're core things that in order to achieve not achieve but to be successful you kind of learn those things. You're just teaching it,
Absolutely.
you know?
Very basics.
We take it for granted. For
Yeah.
some reason, even when we weren't taught, if we didn't pay attention in school, which it's not necessarily taught in school, right? But
No.
we've gotten into credit card debt at one point.
Yes.
We've all went through that.
Right.
We had to
You
get
live, you
out
learn.
of it.
Yeah.
That was our hard lesson. Oh, this is what compound interest is.
Right.
But they don't get that lesson here. And
No.
then sometimes when they learn, it's a little bit too late. They're
Yeah.
losing their houses over.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That's one thing I can't wait. I'm excited for
Yeah.
all of us to, impart
Yeah.
financial literacy, just
That's
the
huge.
basics
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
Again,
Yeah.
this should be part of the curriculum and educate in elementary schools, not high school or middle school, not high school. It should already be in the elementary school. Just the basic fundamentals, and get the ball rolling there. Don't be scared to talk about
Yeah.
money. It's
Yeah.
okay. You can talk about money.
The other thing you mentioned is corruption.
It runs.
Can we talk about corruption?
Are we allowed said the to?
C word. Oh my god.
I gotta go. Godspeed.
How do you think I got my jobs? All of them.
And talk about something that's frustrating here, right? Works in both ways. Come on, let's be real. We know there's corruption in the States.
I mean,
We know there's corruption
everywhere.
everywhere. It's just
Yeah.
the way the world works.
just
Right.
We're
Makes
just
the
a
world
little
go
bit
round.
we're just a little bit more real about that in the Philippines. But it's so apparent all the way from top, all the way bottom. Like down to the security guard, the policeman who's like
That's a perk,
stopping
by the
you.
way.
It's like
if you come to America, if you come to the Philippines, you can't get your way out of a ticket. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Do what I do. This is Mark Nelson's voice. So let me tell you how corruption works for me. I was looking for a parking spot here, and it's so hard to find parking. And so I went to the 3rd floor and then the 4th floor, all reserved in the 4th floor. I got so tired and frustrated. I was wasting gas. I was running late. I was like, sir, Kuya, please. I asked the security guard, please, can you help hook me up, save me, and find me a spot? Can I get a spot? And he looked around. Oh, I don't want to get him in trouble. Anyway, well, this is Mark Nelson's voice.
We don't know what building. We will not disclose which building we're in.
Oh, yes, of course
Yeah.
not. Yes, I love Rockwell. So he's looking around and he goes, shh, come, he summons me over and we're walking for a while. And I'm like, dude, this guy's going to park me in the pits of Mordor.
The boonies.
But the boonies, right? No, but he found a little sliver of hope and I was able to squeeze my truck in there and boom, got a parking lot and hooked him up. 40 pesos.
Thanks,
What's
man.
up?
You have no idea how many times I've pulled the Beanie Beanie card when I needed to. Like,
Oh, shut up.
Kuya, I'm late naman. Sige na, sorry. Sige naman, Kuya, please.
see, you gotta learn. From
Taping
this.
ako,
This
may
is-
taping ako.
Yes.
For those of you guys who are gonna move here, these are tips that you're gonna learn. This is gonna fast forward you a few months or years.
Use once a month, okay? Not every day, like only once a month. We have a limit, right? We only do that. I pull the Bini
Quota.
Bini card
Yeah.
once every 3 months. Sige naman, I'm late for Bini Bini.
Even I learned how to be malaping with everybody. It took me.
Wait.
And I'm not from that. I'm not Filipino, so I didn't know. I didn't know about this. So I was always kind of like hard ass about everything. And then I beat my head against the wall, and then I learned how to be sweet. And it's like, oh, that's it works. This and you do it, but you got to be genuine about it because they'll
of
pick it up,
course.
right? Like
Yeah.
if you just look at them and you just have the appreciation for them, and it goes such a long way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, say their name.
All right.
Say, they'd appreciate it. Oh, Kuya
Right.
Rani or,
Right.
Ate Belen. Just say the name as well. Don't
And,
you?
and these and there's a lot of these people here in the Philippines, and they go through their life working their ass off, and a lot of people don't even give them eye contact, or even give them a
Yes.
second thought,
Yeah.
And so you just show them a little bit of respect, and
Yeah.
Totally.
it goes a long way.
1,000%. Thank you
Totally.
for saying that. And that's
Yeah.
what I love about, again, the Philams. We are most of us are, because that's our culture, is to
Totally.
recognize, look people in the face, firm handshake,
Yeah.
stand up when you're greeted.
Respect as
yeah.
well.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a positive.
Yeah. Do you think we have freedom of speech here? Is there freedom of speech in the Philippines?
Are you trying to get
I
us?
mean, is it in our constitution or no? That's not in the Philippines
in-
constitution, is it?
I think we copied this.
Yeah, we copied the
same
states.
constitution as the state,
Right.
so there is that. I believe so. I think the quick answer is yes. There is. You
There is, but you can
There-
still get arrested for it.
I think you might. We definitely have a nation state that is very, I mean, based on martial law back as recent as a couple decades ago, and Duterte's administration. I think you can. Something can happen
Yeah,
to you.
there were a couple,
Yeah.
there've been a couple, instances about and like journalists that have been
Yeah.
obviously.
Maria Reza, for
Yeah,
example.
Thank you for bringing that up. Sorry, we have the highest statistical assassinations of journalists in the world, which is a terrifying, terrifying stat, and also the highest assassinations of environmentalists as well in our
I
country.
didn't know that. Environmentalists, huh?
Google me, but I think those two we lead the world.
Wow.
Maybe Mexico's up there as well, but yeah, how unfortunate,
That's
right?
sad.
Yeah. So free speech, yeah. Hey, say it all you want, but
Consequences.
there are consequences if you ruffle the wrong feathers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you cocky Americans or Filipino Americans
Doing podcasts in
or
Morocco.
cocky foreigners coming here,
Mark Nelson's voice.
right?
So
But I still think that there is hope to be had. That's another reason why, fortunately or unfortunately, it's still about who you know.
Mm-hmm.
I still think there's a possibility to infiltrate the system a little bit, or try, like, if you have certain causes, and if you do know the right people, there's still a way. But I can't. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I like to stay out of it because it's just so touchy.
yeah,
Honestly, it's so touchy.
Well, it starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And I
That's-
think this talk is kind of eye-opening
Well,
for some people.
you brought up who brought up Maria Ressa?
I
Perfect
did.
example.
Yeah.
Journalistic.
Absolute
Yeah.
perfect example.
Yeah.
And what she went through. They levied some bullshit crime on her.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
something.
Right. And they put her in jail, no? Or they they were trying to put her in jail.
They were attempting to put her in jail. Yeah,
right.
trying to capture
It's
her.
such a shame. Right.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, they're putting drag queens in jail too. I mean, like, if you think about freedom of speech or expression, yeah, like a drag queen can't. There was that big, that big instance where a drag queen got put into jail because she dressed up as Jesus. I know that's blasphemy in certain cultures or sacrilegious, but the intention wasn't to be. It wasn't a mockery of Jesus. It was still spreading light and it was a message of upliftment. So just because he was a male dressed in drag impersonating Jesus, it was anyway. Yeah. So and unfortunately, like, as far as LGBTQIA rights and stuff, like, we're obviously one of, like, we have such a massive population and culture here, but at the same time, they're not given the rights that they're supposed to. So, there's a lot of things that can be fixed from the inside out, but can you? How can you? We can have a voice. We can
Right.
try our best to help support our opinions and to take a stance in things that we believe in, but it's difficult.
Yeah. Slowly.
It's starting,
Slowly.
and I
Yeah.
love them, and I admire anyone who speaks their voice, has an opinion, says it. I absolutely admire you. Go for it.
Yeah.
Say what's on your mind.
Right.
The internet's been a great platform for that. For most people, we need it. Yeah.
Well, social media has really democratized that,
Mhm.
right? So it's kind of democratized even media, right? So a lot of people get their news just through, social media content creators sometimes, So it could be used for evil or it could be used for good,
100%. Yeah.
It's just what would you rather do with it? But anyways, we are running close to running out of time. I think we're at about an hour into this. There is something important I would like to ask, and I'll finish with this. What advice? I know there's been a lot of frustration over in the U.S. over the last few years. It could be political, could be economics, could be inflation, could be racism, whatever it may be. And we all hear about it. And a lot of these Filipinos are pretty frustrated about, where they're living in America. And there's been a lot of talks, and I get a lot of feedback in my forums as well, about people wanting to move back here. What advice do you have to those Filipino Americans who are frustrated and where they're at and want to come here to the Philippines?
Yeah.
Um, advice. If there was advice, I would say you should highly consider the opportunity, just because the opportunities are pretty much limitless or endless once you get here. Accessibility or quality of life is just at a different range. You'll definitely allot yourself a lot more personal time. I can grant that. Unless you want to grind and work hard, but your success will also grow with that. So it depends on how much energy or effort you want to boost into creating your success. But if you want to live just a very standard middle class life like you are probably doing in America, you can do that with a lot more personal time. I think.
Yeah.
I think I've learned that. But the grind is it's exciting here. There's so much room and opportunity for growth and potential. It's such a booming economic city and hub in Southeast Asia, and yeah, I would take the leap in faith and try it, and then you can always go back if you don't like it.
That was beautiful.
100%. Well, if you are 30 and single and all your bills are paid and you're not a fugitive, you come here. You definitely come to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Contribute to
Contribute.
us.
Be
Yeah.
a part of this. You are at the exact age where we want people like yourselves to come here and move this economy, as you said, forward, move this city,
Right.
move this country. We are on the cusp of greatness, and Southeast Asia in general is one of the biggest economic areas that are the possibilities are boundless and endless,
I
and
agree.
there are so many ideas. What I love also about being here in the Philippines, I never had that entrepreneur mentality in the States. I never wanted to put up a business or it
But
never.
here, totally.
Yes.
It's not
You said
it's
it.
not the city.
No.
It's not the traffic. It's
Yeah.
not, you know.
Well, that's
There's,
something I can definitely do without.
yeah. So
top five.
But yeah,
right.
yeah.
Top five.
I do have
sector.
something to say about that,
Mhm.
about what I just asked you. I met Mark. I met you through real estate. I mean, sorry,
Ooh,
Rovi.
It must have been the app.
I'm
would
really
love hearing
butchering
that.
this name even further. Now it's Mark. Sorry.
give him a new name.
Okay, Tom.
Rovi
His arch
Mark,
nemesis.
you know. Sorry.
Arch. It must be the
Besties.
abs
Right.
poking through my shirt. Right?
Besties.
Aren't you and Mark like
They're best friends.
they're like you guys come hand in hand?
Yeah, it's like one without the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're just
Yes.
not
I
complete.
feel like I'm
without
with
him.
Mark.
And I also feel like
Easier
I'm with
with-
Mark. Like the male version of Mark.
True.
Right.
True.
So you met me through real estate.
Yes, sir.
And funny enough, I know more about U.S. real estate than I do about Philippines real estate. I've only bought 2 condos here, but I bought many other properties outside of this country.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And I made my fortune here, and I was able to buy properties overseas, and that was
Oh.
yeah.
Amazing.
So,
Good to hear that.
but I've learned so much about real estate, but yet most of my content is about the Philippines real estate,
Yes.
simply because I feel like I make the biggest difference here.
Yes.
And this is my message to you Filipino Americans, or even if you're a foreigner thinking about moving here, and you're frustrated with feeling like you don't matter in whatever you're doing. I bet if you come here, you can make a much bigger difference in the Philippines. And I would bet on. And so that's kind of like the message I would want to leave with. When you guys agree.
Yes. 1,000%. Even if you're not Pinoy, we accept them all.
Right.
You have just as good a chance as being Filipino as you are not Filipino. There's no other country in Asia, Southeast Asia, that openly accepts foreigners.
Right.
We love foreigners.
Right.
We love 'em.
And then if you speak Tagalog or you attempt it and,
Right.
and embrace our traditions and values and
Right.
cultures, we love you even
Right.
more.
Which
You
most
endear
do.
yourself.
Once they
Yeah.
arrive,
Yes.
they really
Yeah.
infiltrate themselves into the culture, and they realize how amazing and warm our people are, and how easy it is to communicate, and
Yes.
how fast it is to progress and grow. And it's just like they get hooked and they never leave.
Right.
So
We don't
That's
ask for a
me.
tip,
Yeah.
but you better tip us, damn it.
Yeah. Do tip though. Just know that it's not expected.
yeah.
Anyways, that was a great podcast, guys. I think we could probably unpack a lot more in future podcasts. We could talk about
Can.
so many other things for multiple series. So I hope you guys enjoyed this too, as much as I did. And if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you like and subscribe, or consider subscribing. And if you'd like to ask any of us some questions, I'm sure we would be happy to answer some of those questions.
Definitely. You have a very engaging viewership. And so
Yeah, they're
super
very
cool. Yeah.
engaged. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for having us. That was
Thank you.
fun.
Yes. Thank you.
That
Thanks
was
for being
fun.
here as
Yeah,
well.
of course.